Welcome to the wonderful world of dance, bringing you exclusive interviews with top dancers and choreographers and reviews of the world's best companies across the globe. You can find lots more on our website at thewonderfulworldofdance.com.
Hi, this is Savannah Saunders from The Wonderful World of Dance, and today I am super excited to introduce Royal Ballet Principal Dancer Thiago Soares. Thiago is from Brazil, as many of his 100,000 Instagram followers will know. And this year he's celebrating his 20-year ballet career and dancing with the Royal Ballet for 16 years, 14 of those as principal. Thiago's dance journey has been captured in a new film called Principal Dancer, which I saw the other night, and follows his journey from London back to Brazil, where he presents a star-studded ballet show in his home country. So let's hear all about this incredible career. Hi, Thiago. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, guys. Hello, everyone. Hi, Savannah. Thank you so much for having me. It's a huge pleasure to talk to you.
Oh, it's incredible to have you chatting to us today. I saw the film, so I have quite a really good insight. But for our listeners around the world and for the viewers of the video, you started dancing quite late in terms of ballet. At around about 15, but tell us tell us about growing up in Rio and how you came into contact with dance in the first place.
Yes, yes, that's correct. The information you understood. I did start my ballet training, classical ballet training later. I was 14 to become 15. And I grew up in Rio in a mid-class family with difficulties, I would say. My first access to dance was through my brother, who was in a hip hop group in a neighborhood, and I basically, I was, to be absolutely honest, I was trying to copy my brother, and I wanted to have that attention and to have all those people looking at me as well as they used to look at my brother and his friends. They were part of this group that was like a for fun group. It was like they used to meet over the weekends and create these choreographies and go into particular parties, open events, these kind of things. And but it was like a semi-professional group, but they used to get quite a lot of medals and like they used to go to festivals. And basically, I was the little guy trying to be them. So they accept me in the group, and I was 9. And so I was just kind of there, like not really being part of a group, but learning as much as I could and just being with my brother and with his friends. And then eventually by 12, I was actually getting quite good. And they started to use me in the group. And then, 2 years later, the choreographer of the group, which is an amazing Brazilian choreographer, Hugo Alexandre, he said, I have a feeling that you should study dance because it's in your body and it's yours. And I can feel that, you're making this your thing. And that's what it was. Then eventually at age 14, I was nearly turning 15. He sent me to Centro de Dança Rio, which is one of the national schools. And they said, they need boys. And, they had about I think 140 girls and no one boy. So, and they were desperate for boys. And I went there to talk to them and see what they were offering me. And I walked in and never walked out. So, and here I am now.
Wow. And so there you are, 14, 15, and just starting to learn ballet, which obviously, that's quite late these days. Most dancers have started much younger. So it's quite an incredible leap, really, from starting so late. But tell me about, learning ballet at that age, actually. You've done hip hop before. That's an incredibly different type of movement. Tell us about that journey and the moment where you, or if there was a moment where you decided, actually, I want to become a professional ballet dancer.
Yeah, well, there is this kind of, this fun and sort of magical period where, that I was introduced into dance. But then once I walk in there and they were quite serious because Marisa Estrela, the director of this school, she's a very serious director, and she doesn't like to waste people's time, and she doesn't go alone with the next, the next favorite one. She doesn't go along with that. She said immediately to me, she said, look, I am offering you this because they said, we're going to take care of you. You're going to have private classes. We're going to invest in you because I can see that you have a certain talent and you have the grip you have the responsibility grip. I know you're going to be here tomorrow, and I know you're going to be here after tomorrow, and after that, and after that, and after that. She said, for that, I'm giving you this opportunity. It was amazing because they needed boys, and I was the boy, and I got all this kind of attention and love. But then once I walked in, it was, the things slightly changed, and they became very serious about it. They're like, you come from difficulties. If you're going to live out of this, you're going to need to study extra. You need to learn about anatomy, about composers, there's so much you need to learn. Plus, you need to catch up with your ballet because, you haven't been doing this. So they did. I mean, they really took care of me. They gave me like private coaches, teachers, and also even after time, like I remember to be like nearly, every day after classes going to Deborah Bastos, who was my teacher at the time, to watch videos, and she was introducing me to everything. This was Fernando Borrones, this was Nureyev, all this world that I didn't know. And then I slightly became a little bit addicted to this life and to this new stars that I was, seeing on videos. And I remember watching a video. I remember the first time I met Igor Zelensky, who is somebody who I have an enormous respect for, such an amazing star. But the first time I met him in person, I said to him, I said, man, I've watched you over and over and over and over in videos in Brazil, because my teachers was like, eat this video. And, him and also Carlos, I was introduced to those guys with VHS videos. And because my teachers were like, watch as much as you can, watch as much as you can. Sylvia as well, Sylvia Guilherme, and, a lot of those big stars. And then eventually I was working with these people like they were my colleagues. So it was, it's been kind of an incredible journey, but it was hard work. Like my teachers, they understood that I had something that was a little bit different from the others at my period, at my year, and they understood that I had to work very hard. And one thing that I always been told was that for me, it was slightly different because I start late, because I had, a slightly different type from those boys at that time in my kind of year in the other schools. And they said, you need to create your strong identity for you to survive. And that's what I did. I kind of, I worked with them and I learned as much as I could, but I was always aware that I didn't have the typical ballet journey from, 8 years old and, going through the whole long period of in the school, White Lodge or whatever the school is, and that I engaged in a certain point in my life, and that was it. My life shift, and I became that kind of maniac for this art form. So it's been kind of an interesting journey.
And you mentioned there about the advice of creating a strong identity. How do you think that has sort of played out in terms of your identity? How would you describe that dance identity?
Well, it's very it's strange for me to put this in like to kind of sell myself this way. I think it's kind of the audience and you guys who kind of have to come and maybe see and give your opinion and kind of, see if that's there as well. What I felt, the first time I felt, I can tell you an experience I had. I went to Paris competition in 1998 representing Brazil. That was my first competition. And, among about 150 incredible students and dancers from all over the world, there was people like Rolando Sarabia, the Cuban, this incredible dancer who was, phenomenal at the time. And I was competing against this guy who was just the Bible of ballet, the Bible of academia, and somebody who was being brought up in the ballet, age, I don't know, 7, 6, he was already turning pirouettes. And I remember that the preparation that my teachers gave it to me before that, it was it was a lot physical, obviously, but a lot mental as well. It was basically for me to build a kind of a strong confidence that I would be able to apply what I've learned. Because if I actually look around, and if that affect me, and I wouldn't be able to do it. And I had to be strong enough to understand that I had the best care, the best teachers I could. I put a lot of hours. I suffer as well. I've done the hours and I worked hard for it. And, but that is these people that are incredible and they've been studying since age 8. So those were the moments that I had to kind of be strong enough to do what I've been told and to kind of create my identity, because I could see it. I could see that I wouldn't be able to turn more pirouettes than this guy. And I could see that, it's just we had a different frame of bodies, and, our types was completely different. And, so I had to kind of create my identity, bring my survivor mood into my performance, my urgency, my suffering, whatever, my sweat, whatever it was, things that were elements that people were like, okay, this is good. Put it in there and kind of make the best out of that competition. So at that moment, it was really nice because Rolando got the first prize, like the Grand Prix, and I got the second prize. And it was amazing because I remember my teachers saying, this is obviously you are the talent, you are the guy there, but this is being a teamwork because we work so much with you physically and also mentally. I believe this is a career that a lot of people dance, a lot of people have amazing skills, and they are incredible dancers around the world. So for you to create your space and your voice, you have to also work in your identity and have something that is different.
And to be yourself, authentically unique self.
Yeah, to have, something else to say, or, something perhaps, I don't know, new or different, or something that people would feel is relevant to hear.
And this talent that you've had obviously spotted, and the team that you've had, and the confidence that you have applied and grown, took you from those competitions and found yourself at the Royal Ballet, where you've been for the last 16 years, joining as a first artist in 2002. But you were promoted to principal within 2 years, which is quite a swift promotion, I think,
Actually, that was 4 years.
Oh, was it 4 years?
Yes, sorry.
4 years. I thought 2 was incredible, but even 4 is still quite a short amount of time. Yeah. Tell us about your joining the Royal Ballet. You've obviously, you're from Rio, and then you land in one of the best companies in the world, and to tell us about that experience.
Yeah. Well, it was definitely like it's being a dream, a job, definitely. And I was, before I came to the UK, I had a period that I spent in Russia, and which was an amazing period as well, to be able to learn and to see those incredible stars and to learn a bit of repertoire there as well, the classics especially. And
Was that the key roles?
I had like an stagiaire contract, like an
Oh.
apprentice at the Mariinsky.
Oh,
And then
okay.
after I went to a touring company in Moscow, with Gordeev. He has a touring company, and he needed, a taller guy to partner some of his girls. And he said, are you up for the tour? And I needed repertoire, and I was, and also to work with him, it was an incredible experience. So that's I did. And my period that I stayed in Mariinsky as a stagiaire and also touring in Moscow, it was really amazing. It was really great to understand how they approach the classics and how serious they are about repertoire.
Yeah.
And that kind of tradition. It was a good moment for me as well, because I was very open to learn as much as I could. So then eventually with my teachers, we were I used to go back and forth from Russia to Brazil, and my teachers, once we had a conversation, and I felt like I needed a theater where I could kind of, like have like a life in this theater, and I felt like I needed a theater that was a little bit international, that would take care of me or whatever, or teach me something new, but that I would be able to be me as well, that I wouldn't have to be a copy of someone else. And the Royal Ballet is a dream. I mean, for the majority of us dancers, it is a dream. And the fact that it's a theater that allowed you to be an actor as well, that was exactly what I was looking for, because I always like to play characters and to be, to be other lives, and a part of the Royal Ballet with Johnny Cope, Darcy Bussell, and Iraq, and all those amazing stars. A part of that was also this is a theater where the repertoire, it will allow you to bring your identity, to bring what you've been working on. And I asked my teacher, one of my mentors actually, Dalal Ashkar, I said, Dalal, would be possible to get a audition or somebody to see me? And that's what I did. I applied for them to see me, and then I came over, and then I did a few classes, and they offered me a position. They said, well, we know you got your medals and you've been dancing around, but this is a different company, different repertoire. We see some potential on you, and if you want to join in a lower position, and then work yourself up to the rankings, and let's see how it all goes. And obviously, I was like, before they even finished the phrase, I was saying yes, yes, yes. Oh yes, and I think it was the best thing I've done, because the Royal Ballet, obviously, I don't need to explain to your audience what the Royal Ballet is and means to the ballet world, but it's a part of the dance, the everyday dance challenges, repertoire, and all that. Is an amazing family for you to learn about deadline, responsibility, duty to a tradition, repertoire, colleagues, and lessons you learn, and how you change, because you come with a certain idea, and then if you stay long enough, eventually you understand of the duty to do a career with an institution that believe in the arts, and so it was it has been an amazing journey altogether. Obviously the ballet, obviously, because that's what I do there, and the repertoire is just unique. The fact that you can go from Macmillan to Wayne, Chris, new work all the time, and all those amazing choreographers that we bring in, and still doing the classics at the same time. I mean, it's really for somebody that wants to learn, discover, challenge themselves. It's definitely the place. and I was lucky enough to be here.
Which is why it's one of the most coveted dance companies or ballet companies in the world. Absolutely. You've been there, as I said, before 16 years, and you've mentioned so many wonderful elements about this incredible company. But do you have, or can you look back over those 16 years and think of some really special moments that have really sort of marked in your mind or soul over your career?
Oh, absolutely. There's, it's so tricky to pick one or two or three because it has been an incredible journey, and as tacky as that sounds, but definitely I was so lucky to work close with some of like my idols, people that I've grown up looking at them, like Carlos. I never thought I would be chatting him at the bar, in the last period of his career, and like having such a we had such a genuine and honest conversations, and even like in tough times, because we have a few moments there was a few moments in my career that I had to have brilliant conversations and also hard conversations as well. And I never thought I would even meet Carlos, and that he is, giving opinions about my career, giving me compliments or tough comments, and that was part of my life as well. And obviously, I mean, the journey, the fact that we could grow up together, me and Nella, and we've done so much and discovered a lot together. Life as friends as well, and in the arts as well, like kind of, we discovered what we wanted to say in the beginning, what we wanted to say later, and and kind of grow up with those kind of stars, and Sylvie, I mean, Sylvie was just unbelievable. Like when she had interest in me, and she asked me if I could do a certain guest or something, it was just incredible. I couldn't believe that woman was even talking to me. And so I think, I mean, in terms of like, definitely for me, I think these colleagues, these people that I've met, and I had the opportunity to work close with them, and even like people like Edward Watson, that he's done such a long career in the Royal since so little, and we've been sharing dressing room for so long, and when you're there day by day with somebody, you learn so much, and you share, and you collaborate, and you share your story, you say your things. And I think the gold, one of the biggest gold for me, is this access to these colleagues, and I mean so many more. I'm just mentioning few because it would be unfair to just three, because some really incredible colleagues. And definitely, let's not even go there in terms of like being in the studio with Anthony Dowell, with Leslie Collier, with Johnny. Jonathan Cope is somebody that secretly I always, in some aspects I wanted to be Johnny, dance wise. The first time I saw him, and the type, and that is such a thing about him, and I think the access of this with these colleagues and this kind of management, I think has been really gold to me.
And tell us about some of your favourite roles that you've danced, because you've mentioned obviously the incredible choreography and choreographers that are currently and past. Tell us about some of your favourite roles.
Yeah, well, I've been quite lucky with the roles. Because it's anybody that is a professional dancer, they know it's down to you to have the opportunity to be giving those roles as well. And I was very lucky since I became a professional kind of a principal dancer, that I had the opportunity to try and to have a go at the majority of those. So I've done the classics earlier, which was great, and I've done for a good 12, 13 years of all the classics, and that is, in terms of the classics, that is one that stays more with me. And I think as I grown older, I could carry on doing it, which is Albrecht in Giselle, which is a role that I've done with so many people, and I have a lot of memories and nice stories, and he always comes back somehow, and and in terms of like something that stays with you for so long, I think Onegin has been something that I really enjoy doing it, and I've done since the first time I've done, I think I was 24, and if every time it came back, the role change on me, and I was growing up with the role and changing, and I had so many partners as well. I've done probably with about 8 or 10 Tatianas, so, and in different places as well, in different countries, which is really nice. It creates this journey of files of memories, of thoughts, and then eventually you kind of feel kind of full and robust of experiences in the role. And I think if I could pick one, I would say Onegin.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful ballet. You mentioned before, throughout your career, naturally in all long careers, you've had some challenges. And we'll go on to talk about the film Principal Dancer, where you talk about some of those. But tell us about, or give us an example of a challenge and how you've overcome it, because it's not easy, is it?
No.
Dance life.
No, it's definitely not. This is a profession that is hard, and that is everyday challenges, pain, and issues that sometimes is personal issues that you have to overcome. And I in some point I did. I think I had a point in my career, dance career, that I got a little bit stuck with questioning myself and kind of struggling to carry on being free. And I think it was that moment where the film was happening, because I was basically reassuring myself. I would say that I slightly lost myself somewhere.
Okay.
I was confused because life was changing, and responsibilities was kind of shifting to a different kind of direction, and I was just starting to feel the necessity to find myself complete again. And I was kind of in that a messy zone in my head, and with a lot of things to put on, shows to do, performances to perform, choreographers to work with, and there was a lot going on, and which was interesting for the film, because I was kind of a bit in that madness of having so much to do, plus a nightmare in my personal life. So then eventually I passed that period, and then I kind of started to do like a transition, like into a new era, where I started to realize that I got into an age that I should, because this is a short career, and I wanted to enjoy as well, and I wanted to be able to use all my experience in applying a certain things. So I started to eventually fight it less and try to apply as much as I could of my experiences in my performances. So I every time those little monsters came to my head, and I was doubting myself for creating this kind of insecurity or questions, or I used to play a little version of a film in my head of what I've been through, and somehow I used to think, you know what, my journey is being a nice journey with, I've been lucky with, incredible people around. I'm not gonna let this moment of my head just trying to sabotage me to spoil this film, because this film of this journey is being a great one. So I'm gonna fight it back, and I'm gonna carry on kind of doing what I do, and having a good time. So I think it got into a point that I had to also work, like do mental work, and kind of feel healthy in my thoughts. And I do that a lot. I kind of I try to work in my thoughts and in positivity, and always having a new challenge, because that pushes you for the next, for the next, for the next.
Absolutely. So, in terms of new challenges, we're going to talk now about your film, Principal Dancer, which I absolutely loved, I have to say. I thought it was really, really wonderful. And so tell us, I've seen it, but for those who haven't seen it or would love it to be shown in their hometown or country, tell us about the film.
Well, the film is directed by Felipe Braga, and Felipe have done a few projects before. He's also a writer, and he's a very sensible person towards the arts. He's really somebody that like to observe and to join the journey. He's not just a spectator. He kind of join in, and he leave you with that, which is amazing for a director to shoot something of this complexity. When he first approached me to do this film, I was, as I said before in the Q&A that day, he was. He was so positive and so sure that I was the person that he wanted to be, the subject of his documentary. But I was, at that time I had so much going on, and it was a stressful time, and I was a little bit hesitating. And I said to him, I don't know if this is the best time. And then very short after that, I understood that he wanted to be in that mess and to see what it takes to be able to do it, even going through all that. And I think it was a trust. Once I trust him, it took us like not long, because I said, okay, well, come in, let's meet, let's have coffees, let's chat. And once I understood that he wasn't there for anything else apart of investigate a life of an artist, and without any ego agenda. Because I said to him at the time, I said, I don't even know what's going to happen. I don't know if I'm going to carry on dancing. I'm going through a divorce. This is madness. I'm putting a show of my 15 years of career. So it's so much going on. I'm at that edge that I'm questioning myself. Why do I still do this? Why do I still go through this pain with everything else that's happening in my life? So I was basically in that moment of life where you're like, what is it? And then eventually you're like, this is what I do. This has been my life. That's why, because this has been what I am. So I said to him, if you are fine on being this madness and just kind of fit yourself whatever is possible, I said, I'm not going to be, pretending to be a certain star that I'm not. I know that as superstars, that they've done self-promotional films and documentaries, and everybody have their own thing going on. I said to him, I don't think I'm that guy at this moment. I don't think I am the guy, going, oh my God, how, incredible he is, and boom, boom, and he's cool and everything. I said, it's madness, it's pain. I'm like eating fruits, drinking coffee, trying to get on with life, screaming at people screaming at me. I said, are you interested in that? If you're interested in that. And he's like, well, this is the reality. So the moment we understood that, and then we shook hands. And then it was amazing, because the way they shot the film, it was never on my way. And Felipe has a beautiful way of getting into meetings and to chats to people. He's a friendly person, and he just wants to report, which is so attractive when somebody has no agenda of, in any point. We had a moment where, ego was kicking in and was like, well, I think it was none of that. I did had moments that I said to him, man, I look like shite because I just look like I'm down. And he said, Tico, don't worry. This is what we said. This is a report. Just let's go with it. And this is relevant, and this is the reality. So now, looking at the film now, I feel very proud that we were able to have the abandon. And probably, maybe if it was in a different time of my life, maybe I would have a bit of an ego and go, well, my solo wasn't right that day, or can you put my nice pirouettes in, and that kind of thing. And but at that time I was completely, like I said, do what you have to do, man. Just do it. It's fine. So I think we were kind of lucky as well to have that period going on. And one thing that I can say about the film that now I realize more and more is how lucky I was to be able to be working on, first of all, two theaters that I love the most, which is the Royal Opera House and the Teatro Municipal do Rio de Janeiro. And those theaters, they mean so much to me. And also the other artists that are there, they are people they admire so much. And I feel very lucky to have all those people in that project together. And because it's so tricky when you're shooting something to have, Wayne and Nella and Lauren and Deborah. Probably if I try to do something now with all those people, I wouldn't be able to put them all together, because it's just scheduling. And also, people have other things going on and authorizations and everything. And I don't know how Felipe got all in. So it's really nice when I see now. It's so nice everybody's there. And
the thing I do love about the film is that it follows your journey not just as a dancer, and I love that it's also really raw, and it goes right behind the beautiful end performance. There you are with your gorgeous makeup, your gorgeous costume, dancing gorgeously, but it goes right and deeply raw into what it takes to present that moment on stage, to the point where you're, in rehearsal, you're working with different choreographers, as you mentioned, Lauren, in the studio. It goes right to the point of your journey through pain, and there's quite a few for listeners. You're practically naked. It's very raw. You show things that probably most dancers would never have seen, for example, what men wear underneath their costumes. And I think it's very rare to see right down to the rawness of one's body, which I think was amazing. You talk a lot about pain in the movie, and we go through that sort of journey with you. Tell us about that, because most people probably don't realise, unless they've ever been in a dance class or gone sort of behind the scenes, how much it really takes physically as well as emotionally.
It's an interesting question that you made, because now that when I see the film now, I realize how much that was going on with me physically. Now I don't feel, now that I'm older, in a different period, I don't feel as much pain. It's interesting. And sometimes I'm working as hard or maybe even more than there. But I think part of it, I was at that period, I was also coming out of an injury on my knee. And so when you're coming back from a kind of a serious injury, pushing yourself to the maximum. Sometimes you injure other things, your hip goes, your back, and I think that challenge of being like trying to engage this body and then having pain and listening to it and not, and some of the pain also was in my mind, because I remember the doctor said to me, even before we start the film, the doctor said, you know, you are fine, but you have pain in your mind. So that's going to be talking to you for a little while. You have to fight this ghost. And part of it is in the film. There are moments in the film that I'm talking to myself. I'm talking to the camera guy, and there wasn't even anybody there. I think Felipe wasn't even there that day. And I was just reporting about my pain. But I think I was talking to myself. I was like in that kind of loop of just, do I have pain? Is this actually painful? I'm just talking pain here. And I think it's something that sometimes dancers go through. And you know, as I say in the film, and I guess you know, all of us, pain is an everyday game for us. Pain, you need to make friends with your pain, and you need to kind of understand and play with, and try to listen to your body and listen to whoever is coaching you, and have assurance from your teachers, from your physios, and you know, there is no way you're going to do ballet professionally and you're not going to get hurt. There is no way. There's no way. Some people are luckier than the others, that they have less pain, that they, you know, their body, the structure of their body is more organic, so they don't have to force it. And but for me at that period, especially because I was doing Swan Lake, I was doing a contemporary piece, I was doing like a neoclassical piece, and also a dance theater, kind of like a role, like kind of a lot of physical, like a lot of rolling on my knees and like turning on my knees. And so I was really stretching my body there in every way, and my mind as well. So it was interesting that in some point I was talking so much about pain in that period that I every day I used to do 2 sections of ice. And Felipe eventually said to me, you know, this thing that you say that you know, pain is your little friend. He said, I realize it is, and definitely we need a picture in the film. This is also a star of a film, pain. And then when he showed me the last cut, and it was like pain as a chapter, I was like, unbelievable. So, but it's, I mean, yeah, I think it's part of our everyday lives, and you know, you just have to kind of have your structure, how you deal with, and understand that is part of it. It's part of it.
And part of the journey that we follow you in this film, as you mentioned, is you putting on this incredible show in Rio and in Sao Paulo as well. What inspired you to choose these different types of choreography and your experience? And, you know, you're talking about you had crazy personal life going on. You've got a full-time career at the Opera House. You are already, you know, very, very busy, and then you decide to go put on a show.
Yeah.
That you're doing yourself.
Yeah, well, it's interesting when you put it like that, because this is another very interesting question. You know, because we work in schedule, and we work in preparations of things that always are going to happen. Let's say we are chatting here, right? But this morning I've been chatting about something that's going to happen next March. And that means there is a structure, there is choreographers involved, there is people involved, so we are constantly following up with projects that they were already kind of prepared. And at that time, I've done a lot of stuff in Brazil, like a lot of work, and you know, sometimes I go and I guest with the main company back at home, and I kept this relationship going, which is very nice, and I love to be able to share with my fellow friends and colleagues in Brazil whatever I'm doing. So I had the show prepared. to do it because this production team that were working with me, they said, you get into a time now where you've done so many galas, so many little appearances, so many, like guests in a certain ballet that you like. And they said, it's going to be your 15 years. And we would like you to do like a rep, like cast a rep and let's do something. What do you think? And at that time, I was already having a lot of problems in my personal life. So I kind of set up what I would like to do it a year and a half before that. So that was already prepared. The only person that I wasn't totally sure was Deborah Coker, because Deborah is such a busy person and she had so much going on that I wasn't sure I would be performing with her. So by the time the year and a half passed and I was starting to do the show, basically I was coming out of an injury, divorcing, moving houses, but that wasn't planned a year before. A year before, everything was nice and pretty, and we thought this is going to be an amazing 15 years of celebration. I'm going to be, loving everybody, and everybody's going to be amazing. And so then when the time starts to rehearse, there was a lot on my plate, and it was just kind of, I had to do it. It was booked, and also I invited Arthur Peter to do a new piece for me as well. And, I just, we have everything booked and the venues and people prepared and everybody was waiting for, just my life. It was going on and that's what I had to kind of, carry on. And this is a reality in our lives. It doesn't matter who you upset with or what happened last night or how is your confidence in that period. You have shows, you have performances. The majority of the audience, they don't know that. So when I start rehearsing that project, it was all like going mental in my head. But actually this is the beautiful thing about the arts, because we deal with so much emotions and we're related to people all the time. So it can become a therapy, because I actually used that show as a therapy, because I was, kind of re-engaging with myself. And because I had so many brilliant people around, it was kind of a really positive period, especially to be able to work with Deborah Coker, who is somebody that, she made me laugh and she made me smile so much, but she made me be so upset a few times. And, she just gave me the whole, experience of, having all the emotions in one project. And in the end, it was so positive to being able to work with her and to learn from her and to to become friends with her and to have her in the film and the fact that she accepts to perform with me as well. And she's an older person with a lot of experience in life and she got it and she knew what was going on. And there was moments that she was like, I know what you've been through and come, let's go. Let's come. This is another. She was like, open this door and like, this is a whole new world. Let's go. And by the end of the show, it became something really exciting. And I think this is the beauty about the arts, is that we can use as a vehicle to discover new and discover ourselves again.
And I love that that entire experience that you went through, both personally, creatively, artistically, as a dancer, a producer, between countries, working with different artists. It's all captured. I love it. It's an amazing film. It's all captured, this moment in your life.
Oh, I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah.
One thing that I remember my friends at the time, because I had, the friends that they were there in the film, in the tour with me, that they are incredible artists and great friends. But I have other friends that they are not in the ballet world. And I remember some of them, they were really close to me. and at the time, and they were there as well. They flew to Brazil, they were there with me, and I remember that everybody in some point they realized there was so much going on, and I was just trying to be everywhere at the same time, and also with this thing with myself, that anything that I was being a little bit out of order or a bit rude or a bit too much, they were just saying, oh, Thiago is in his thing, don't worry. That was the excuse. It was like, oh, he's like, nobody, at some point everybody just let me, be in my journey, because they were like, oh, he's just doing this thing, don't count anything he said.
Well, it was clearly a pressured time. I want to ask two final questions, and one of those is one of my favorites, and particularly someone who has so much experience behind you, and your personal journey is such an inspiration for so many out there, particularly young male dancers who will be listening to this and thinking, I'd love to have even part of the career that you have. What advice would you give to young aspiring ballet dancers who are thinking about this as a professional career?
Yeah, well, I would say that this is a career that you need to love this career. You need to love the duty of being a dancer, and the order of being in training, and be respectful to your teachers, to your colleagues, and understand the duty, what you carry by being a dancer. That is a message. And also to push yourself to the maximum when you can, to respect your colleagues, and not to be afraid of being yourself. Please, don't be afraid of being yourself. Don't become a copy of somebody else because you feel you have to, and be true to the art form. This is an art form that is on us. It's in our bodies. So it's quite, in a way, it's a lot of power, because again, my friends, that they are like in the bank industry, they are like designers, and they do other things. Every time we in the table, like joking or talking something, they're like, yeah, it's easy for you because your job is you just get up and dance, and it is on us, and we have this power, and we have this desire to do this. And I think, just be true to yourself, nice to your colleagues, push yourself the maximum you can, and don't be a copy of anybody else, please.
Oh, I absolutely love that. I think that is such wonderful, wonderful advice, I have to say. I just want to thank you so much for talking with me today. I hope that your film is everywhere so that everyone can see The Principal Dancer, which is just absolutely gorgeous. And to find out when it is being shown in your region, check out Thiago's Instagram. You and every other 100,000 of those people who are following his wonderful journey. Thiago's Instagram is @_TSOARES. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Don't forget to subscribe. We've got some incredible interviews coming up with principal ballerinas and renowned choreographers. We love dance and ballet, and we hope you'll love us. Join us on Facebook and Twitter.